This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites. A no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better host, or if you're looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month absolutely free. And now, enjoy the show.
Hello, this is the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, and you can't tell, but right now I'm dressed as Deacon and not the Fallen Angel because I'm at Waterworld, and you are listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast because there's degrees. There's a little bit busted open, but this is Busted Wide Open. You're listening to us, so thanks for listening.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast, our patron mailbag, episode number 17. My name is Nick Howell.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. And once again, we are here to answer the questions that you, our patrons of the show, have asked us. And if you're not a patron of the show, it's a great time to start being one because you get to ask questions on this show to us, and we answer them right here for you. And it's a lot of fun for us, and hopefully it's a lot of fun for you as well.
Yes.
So yeah, just head on over to patreon.com/BWO and sign up for any one of them tiers. What else do they get if they sign up, Nick? They get a lot of
every
swag and
episode.
stuff.
They get a copy of the show notes. They get the ability to ask listener questions every single week throughout each month. They can get bonus questions, episodes, excuse me.
Bonus
they can
episodes.
Get Skype calls with
Skype
Nick
calls.
and Sir Ian Dangerous every single month. Just ask former champ Andy Jessup. He's been doing it for quite some time. It's the best way to support the show, guys. There's a reason we're leaving the ads out is because we depend on Patreon to support and fund and help with the show. So thank you guys to all of the patrons that help us do that.
And on top of that, Nick, if you're a patron, not only do you get to ask questions, show notes, sweet swags, all the way up to a Skype call, but also you get to participate in our patrons pick'em challenges, which happens 4 times a year at all the big WWE shows, and you too can win some swag from that or become the champion. We've had a few of those champions so far. We just crowned a new one at our last Royal Rumble patrons pick'ems event. Chris White, give it up for Chris White, our current patrons champion. We're doing that again at WrestleMania. So, yeah, lots to do if you want to become a patron of our show. And we appreciate all of our current patrons. Thank you guys so much. As you said, Nick, they are the grease that runs the wheels of this show and keeps us doing this. And we very much appreciate it. And also, it gives us something to do on this show because you guys ask us questions and they're always fun to answer. And, Nick, I cannot wait to start talking about them today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, real quick, we'll get past the housekeeping. BWOpodcast.com is the shortcut to find links to any of the podcast apps that you would like to listen to the show on, or you can subscribe here on YouTube at youtube.com/bustedwideopen if you'd like to watch us do it live every single week. And we do that every Saturday here about 5 p.m. Eastern, right after we finish our main show that starts on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. Hell, we also stream live on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. So by subscribing and jingling that notification bell, you can get alerted and notified anytime we schedule new events, go live, or put up new content. Make sure you follow us on all the social medias. You can find us all there. Links to that in the description below of the YouTube channel. Get into our Discord for live chats all throughout the week as well. So, Ian, let's not waste any more time. We got a lot of questions to get through this week.
Good.
So I want to get started as soon as possible. First off, is it the inventor? The namesake of the moment of positivity every single week. Mr. Sean Clark in the hopper first this week. He says, really feel Raw has been turning it around, but SmackDown is feeling so sluggish right now. It's making me question my positivity, guys. What's the first thing each of you would do to turn around the blue brand?
Well, for one thing, less dog food. I feel like a lot of the feuds over there have become repetitive, and there's not enough personality being shown there. I think one of the things that's really working with Raw is interesting matchups and personality. And you're seeing a lot of that where you're seeing matchups that you wouldn't have normally seen. There's a reason that Drew McIntyre came out of nowhere. Essentially, like they haven't really been using him for the last couple of years. They spent about 2 or 3 weeks having him be a face kind of on the sidelines of Raw. And in doing so, they allowed him to really show off his natural personality. And I feel like they've loosened the reins on Roman a little bit, pardon the pun. And he's been able to be a little bit more loose. So that's been helpful. But everyone else just kind of feels there. It doesn't have the same connection on SmackDown. As far as something specific to do, I don't know. Nick, in your opinion, do you feel like anything on SmackDown is really connecting, aside from, for you, Otis and Mandy? Like any of those angles on that show? Like the Braun Strowman Shinsuke Nakamura thing felt rushed and thrown together, and there was nothing really happening. Sami Zayn was the only person who had any personality in the whole thing.
Sure, but I don't want to be over critical of it because I love what Sammy's doing. I love
Agreed.
And that's the weird conundrum that I'm in, because it's hard to say that you're not a fan of Shinsuke Nakamura, but I mean what he's been doing recently is
it's been boring. There's nothing interesting about it. And I think that Sean used the word sluggish. That's a really great word for it. It feels sluggish. It feels like stuff's just happening, and there's not really any momentum or motivation behind it. It's just kind of there. Sheamus and Chad Gable had another match this week. Okay. Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin have been doing this thing for months now. And while the matches themselves have been entertaining in the moment, the overall feud's kind of just there.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of SmackDown in general, is the stuff's just there. Bayley's just there.
It feels very prescribed. Like what happened to Lacey after Royal Rumble? She wasn't even there this week. Was she out doing some tour? Nobody told us why she wasn't there. We had a bunch of rehashes of everything that happened at the Royal Rumble. We had some new people come out. We had some things that should have happened at the Rumble happen again or happen here. But what would I turn around? The only real story that you've got going on right now around a title is The Fiend and Daniel Bryan. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not something I really believe in. Like, all the people that came before Daniel Bryan couldn't put him down either. Like, if the story was about if they continued it to be about The Fiend changing people, like, make that the story. Not that Daniel Bryan is the plucky little underdog that's going to overcome adversity again. That's what they're doing. They're shifting us on us to make us not talk about The Fiend and what he does. But it's all about little underdog Daniel Bryan again, and he's going to pull it off. And by God, he's going to strap himself to him. Yeah, Daniel Bryan. Yes. It's not about the outcomes of people that face The Fiend anymore. If I were to change anything, I would turn that ship back around, because you've lost the line on The Fiend.
I think there's an opportunity to do that. I think this story was more about Daniel Bryan, not being affected by The Fiend, but then still kind of crashing against the rocks that are the Fiend. Like he broke himself on the rocks. Like he flew too high, as I said on the last show. So yeah. I'm not too mad. Of all the things on SmackDown, the Fiend storyline and Daniel Bryan was one of the few things I was enjoying. And I thought actually had some thought put into it and seemed to have some direction. And that ended up being a really good match at the end of that, despite all odds. So that's one of the things I feel like it's working, because there is progress to it.
Sure.
And I feel like they know where they're going. I don't feel like they know where they're going anywhere else. I guess
my point though is that if they're not careful, they're going to undermine everything they've built up with The Fiend by shifting the focus over to Daniel Bryan being the plucky underdog, and that's not going to work. It has to be about The Fiend.
Right.
All of the storyline the last month was about Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan coming back with his head shaved, coming back with, and challenging The Fiend, and I'm gonna strap myself to him, and then it's Daniel Bryan. We're being overloaded. That's the one thing I would go back to, was making The Fiend. And he still feels this way, but the story is not about him and about him changing people. It's not about the Firefly Funhouse vignettes that we got all summer that we all just marked the hell out over. We want more of that. Now you're making it about other stuff.
Yeah, but I don't feel like of all the things on SmackDown, that's not the thing I'm honing in on.
Oh,
If
sure.
that makes sense. Like I
Sure.
feel of anything, that's something that if they're not doing it right in the moment, overall they've been doing it fairly well. If that makes sense. I feel like if you're talking about overall, how do we fix SmackDown? It would just if okay, Sean says find one thing to fix about SmackDown. Sit down and get a game plan, get a roadmap for a lot of people, because the fact that there's not one right now, you can feel it every week.
Yeah, Vince tearing up the show 90 minutes before they go live.
It feels
it's
directionless.
palpable. Yeah.
It feels directionless. Every week is its own little independent ship, and there's nothing exciting going on.
Yep.
In general on SmackDown. So.
Yep. Good question, Sean. Thank you for that one. Next up, Josh. Who are some fan favorite wrestlers you just don't really like? For me, it's always been Edge,
Now
Charlotte.
this day, I see clearly everything is covered. Wait, what? I'm sorry. Triggered. Sorry, triggered.
Charlotte, pre-AEW Chris Jericho were his examples. Who are some fan favorite
Wait a minute.
wrestlers
Hold on.
you
Time
just
out.
really don't like?
Josh, you don't like Edge, Charlotte, and Chris?
On this day, I see clearly.
Sorry. Damn.
Damn it, I got triggered again.
You got triggered too.
Woo.
I'm actually surprised at that those, I guess with the Charlotte one, I understand.
Yeah.
I can see how she's divisive, kind of like a Roman Reigns figure. Pre-AEW Chris Jericho, I can see too, depending on like which pre-AEW Chris Jericho we're talking about, because there's been a lot of Chris Jerichos. But that is a little surprising. But I guess that's the point of the question. Josh, I don't know if you want to throw up something in the Facebook discussion group. I would love to know your rationale behind not liking them, because it's a little surprising. But fair enough. You like who you like. For example, to answer his question, I've never liked Ultimate Warrior. Now, even as a kid, I couldn't stand Ultimate Warrior. He drove me nuts.
See, as a kid, I marked out for him because I thought he was just this like fantastical being, Amazonian kind of thing that came out of the forest and was just this wild creature that screamed really loud. It
didn't work for me. It was too much. I was just like,
really?
Yeah,
okay.
Didn't work for me. I didn't dig it. I thought it was dumb, even as a kid. And as an adult, I really think it's dumb.
I didn't understand what being high on cocaine looked like when I was 12. But
cocaine and roids.
Right.
And Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is, as an adult, I've not only do I think he's dumb, I lost all respect for him because of his social views.
Yep.
He's kind of a piece of crap. So that just kind of underlined that. And a lot of people still love Warrior and wear the shirts and everything and have fond memories of him. Not me. Also, guys that are fan favorites that I just don't care for. Batista. Not a Batista fan. Was never a Batista fan. In fact, Batista was one of the reasons I stopped watching for a while in the mid 2000s. I couldn't stand him. He just looked like just this kind of douchey gym rat. And the fact that he was getting this huge push just didn't connect with me at all. To be clear, love the guy as an actor. Enjoyed his last little come through of WWE's retirement come through of WWE. Thought that was fun. Has a great entrance song.
Oh.
The entrance song is badass. I'll give you that. But just never got him as a wrestler. It just never worked for me. Was never a fan. And then finally, and this one might be the controversial one, Kevin Nash. And please don't kill me, Kevin Nash, because I know he could. But just never was a fan of Kevin Nash as a wrestler either, and certainly not his booking either. Yeah, couldn't tell you why though.
Who are some fan favorite wrestlers you just don't really like? I'm not sure why.
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to think of how I want to say this the right way.
I hate Stone Cold Steve Austin. What? Get off the show. You're done. You're fired.
Oh, no. No, I think it's pretty clear my markery for The Rock and Stone Cold at this point.
It's very clear.
Just say it.
Triple H.
Really?
I love DX as a unit.
Yeah.
My specific markery was more for the New Age Outlaws.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest about it. Much akin to why people marked the hell out for Enzo and Cass. It was about the entrance. It was about the fan interaction. It was about the experience of it all. But they were fun in the ring. But you got up and you chanted that entrance with them every single week, right? But looking back at Triple H, and I'm wondering if it was born in my markery for The Rock and Stone Cold, for loving them and
yeah.
hating the guy that was constantly like going against him, right? Much like people hate the Mr. McMahon character for those same reasons. Looking at, grown-up Nick in his 40s, looking back at the Attitude Era going, wow, he was really good. And if you haven't seen the interviews he's done with Muhammad on Loudwire, I've tried to post them in the group. Make sure you watch those, talking about him coming up through the business and the formation of FCW, NXT, and all that stuff as well. Yeah. It's really good.
His interpretation
of it's not just about metal music, right?
Right.
His revisionist history.
Exactly. Let's be clear.
But I can absolutely respect the career path and the ascension that he has had, and it makes a lot of sense. But it's not without its own story and controversy that we'll probably never hear the real version of. But yeah, he was one of those that just never really got over with me and his thing and all of this.
It's crazy to me because I was an enormous Triple H mark back in the day, and you can ask anyone who knew me back in like the 90s, 2000s. Like I had Triple H shirts. I love Triple H. Just a guy who I thought was a fantastic technical guy who could tell a good story, was a great heel, was a great face. Listen to Motorhead, like what's not to love?
Sure.
So I was a huge Triple H fan, so that's shocking to me. I definitely got disappointed in him during his reign of terror, and when you could tell that he was being just a political douche. But
I mean, if anyone were to challenge me, I could stand up right now and do word for word the New Age Outlaws intro.
Oh, both of us could. That's not what we're here to do.
That was where my DX markery was, the core of it was.
Right.
And of course the chop, but a lot of that was, looking back on it, I understand the evolution of everything now.
Right.
And I have mad respect for Triple H and what he did, his part that he played in evolution and moving that forward. And then the FCW and NXT in the early days, I understand and have mad respect for the dude. But he was a fan favorite that I just never really.
No, again, like with me with Batista and Nash, there's lots of things about them that I respect and admire and like. But when it just came to in-ring work as wrestlers, as performers, it never didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So
kind of agree on Charlotte as well, but she's the best thing in the women's division.
No, I don't agree at all. Charlotte is probably the best women in WWE all around as a performer.
Yep. Thank you very much, Josh. Really good question. Really, really good one that makes you think. I'd love to hear what you guys think as well, either in the chat or in the group. Post them up.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's got controversial opinions right there.
Yo, yeah, man. And listen, please feel safe to post what you like. Me coming out here in public, live on the internet, saying I was never a Triple H fan.
I mean,
if you guys can be civil about it in the group too, so please do that. Thank you, Josh. Next up, Martin asks, "Good day, gentlemen and fellow BWOers."
Yes,
phenomenal ones. With Edge returning on Sunday, who would you like to see return to the ring for one more match? Also, what's the number one dream match you want to see? Across the board, number one dream match? I'm kind of going to get one of mine. I mean, Marty Scurll just booked himself into a match and Jay accepted. Switchblade Jay White at Supercard of Honor versus Marty Scurll.
That's a dream match? That's awesome, but I don't know about a dream match. You're talking about returning to the ring, like coming back out of retirement. A
return. Okay.
Yeah. That's what he said, right? Read the question
Second
again.
question. Also, what's the number one dream match you want to see?
Wait. Read the whole thing again.
With Edge returning on Sunday.
On this day, I see. Sorry, I got triggered again. Go on.
With who returning on Sunday, who would you like to see return to the ring for one more match?
Right. So who do you want to have come out of retirement?
So let's stop there. Who would you like to see return to the ring for one more match?
I can't help it with all of these people coming back from neck injuries. I've had to think Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah. I have to. You know what I mean? And the last few times we've seen him, he's been in there and he seems like he's got a ton of energy. He's in great shape. I mean, can you imagine, like, even if it's just like a 10-minute freaking, legend squash match or whatever, or like a super slow, Triple H Batista style match where it's sluggish, but it's still like, brutal, whatever. Like the Triple H Batista at WrestleMania. Slow as hell, but still an entertaining match. You get Stone Cold back in that ring. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, we'll all lose our collective minds. That has to be the first one that I think of, just because it looks like he's still in pretty good shape. He also had to, quit. His career got ended way too soon. He said that there's no way, but then again, so did Edge. So
did Daniel Bryan too.
Yeah, if I
Triple
wonder,
fusion Edge had, and he's back in there taking bumps.
He went and got another surgery. I wonder if Steve's got to be sitting there going, "Hey, man, these kids,
what was your doctor's name?
Yeah, right. Right. And if he's going to do that, he's not going to say a damn thing about it. Like, well, I'm trying to get back in there. No, it's just he's going to be like, he knows how much money is in him suddenly coming back. I don't think he's going to be working a schedule like these guys. And, he's a little older than Edge. So, a little further down the road as it were. But I'm sorry, man. There's no one in the world who's retired who I would want to see more come back into the ring than Stone Cold.
I kind of got mine for a minute, and it was during Seth's chicken shit heel run.
Can I before you say this, I'm sorry.
Yep.
In the chat, Esmeralda just had a couple of amazing ones. She said Andy put Val Venus versus Joey Ryan in her head.
That's good.
I don't know. Have you seen Val Venus these days?
Well, he's selling weed.
He's turned into Rob Van Dam, but he looks like hell. He looks like hell. And he's also he's out of his mind. If you follow him on Twitter, he's lost his mind. And she also said Steve Blackman versus Josh Barnett. You have my attention. Nipples are full.
So I'm going to combine both of mine.
Yes.
I was sold short, thank you, Seth Rollins, by the return of Sting. Sting was one of those that was the absolute enigma in the 90s. Like, before we had DX and before we had really Stone Cold at his peak, for me, it was Sting, man.
Yeah.
Everything was about Sting, especially like the Raven gimmick and the Crow gimmick, right?
Yeah.
We got the return, and we almost got the dream match of Sting and Undertaker at 30. We were supposed to get it they were going to book it up for 31, I think is what it was, but it never manifested. I would love to see Prime Sting versus Prime Undertaker.
Right, but we're never going to get that. It's too late.
Gonna get it.
He's talking about like who do you want to return? I would love to see even like old men, like hobbling around, barely able to pull off moves. Even that, I would love to see like Sting, Undertaker. Like I would hate to say it, and I'm sure the build would be great and the match would suck. But damn, I just want to see the two of them in the ring together once. Yeah, I'm with you, man.
One last thing about Stone Cold. I hope one day we get to go back to general managers or commissioners or whatever they want to call it, showrunners.
Yeah, it all works.
I would love to see Stone Cold as a GM.
Yeah. I think I wouldn't mind that.
Much like Kurt Angle.
The more you put him on, the more you get Austin on TV, the happier I am too. Sure.
Yeah.
What was question number 2 that he had? The dream match.
What's the dream match? Number 1 dream match you'd want to see?
John Cena, Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The two aces,
really
the two aces of their respective companies for the last 10 years. You talk about Sting, Undertaker. This is basically, in a weird way, kind of the modern equivalent of that. Like Tanahashi is the man. He saved New Japan. He's one of the biggest superstars of all time. And John Cena the same way. Like he kept WWE afloat during a time when they were theoretically in a lot of trouble, and was the guy. Those are the guys of the early 10s and late aughts. And Tanahashi is starting to wind down. Cena's already gone from WWE. I think we know Tanahashi can still go. And I'm pretty sure if Cena put in some work, he could come back and still work a good match. And we know Cena, like when he's motivated, can actually wrestle. Jesus Christ, those two. Unfortunately, I feel like most of the U.S. audience doesn't know who Tanahashi is. So it'd be kind of hard to build that. But as an international match, that would just be that would be it, Nick. Pull down the curtain,
One
turn
match,
off the lights. It's over.
No
We're
time
done.
limit. Madison Square Garden, Tanahashi versus Cena. One match.
Tokyo Dome. Or
Tokyo Dome.
Or Tokyo.
Yes.
I mean,
maybe they do 2 matches, one in each.
Guess which one's getting 6 stars from Meltzer. Anyway, so yeah, that's my number 1 dream match. It about you?
It would have been Sting and Undertaker, but we never got it. It never manifested.
All right, yeah.
Thanks, Seth.
Hey, man, takes two to tango.
Right.
Shouldn't it? Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah, that's good question, man.
Good one, Martin.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Next up, the champion.
Oh!
The BWO Patron Pick'ems champion, I should properly say.
Yes.
Mr. Chris White.
Full title.
Thank
full
you.
title.
The champ is here, he says. Question for you guys. If Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold never existed, do you still think we have the WWE Network?
Ooh. Wild speculation, but I would say no. Neither Hogan nor Stone Cold. I mean, literally, those are the foundations.
What's the context of the question there? To have the number of WrestleManias that were as big as they were with them headlining, or
well, also think about, would there be anybody else that could have propelled WWE to the level of popularity that they were at?
6 million viewers at the height of Stone Cold, 2009.
9 million.
Wow. Okay.
That's the thing.
Jesus.
Like, it was insane. And, without Hogan, we don't have WrestleManias. Without Austin, we don't have the Attitude Era and the insane popularity that happened there. All the money and all the things that Vince was able to do with that money and the exposure.
By WCW.
By WCW. Yeah.
Here's a check, pal.
I mean, without those two guys, does WWE survive? Do they exist? And I don't know. I mean, you had other big stars as well, but those two were the guys that really shot WWE into the stratosphere. Does WWE become as popular with Macho Man instead of Hogan? Does it become as popular with
I'm going to
only
get a little
The
bit of
Rock?
credit to The Rock as well.
I was just going to say The Rock, yeah. But
so let's remove Stone Cold from the equation. Would the Attitude Era still have been successful with just DX and The Rock and the McMahons?
that's a totally different aspect because Stone Cold was kind of the iconic figurehead of the Attitude Era, right?
Yeah.
The Rock was a lot more
rebel,
kind of showy and whatnot. But exactly. The rebel, the beer swilling, flip off his boss guy. That's what put a lot of butts in seats. And he was doing it before The Rock came along, and The Rock, kept him there. But then he boned out to go do movies. So does WWE get as popular without Hogan and Stone Cold? I say no. I say like Vince is a smart dude, and he knew like that Hogan guy, I got to turn him into something.
It's interesting if you look at thinking of this from a business perspective. If you look at the numbers post Stone Cold, it's a steady decline over 20 years.
Yeah. Now, as you said, though,
sharp drop in the early 2000s.
As you said,
2010s,
is it one guy? No, it's not one guy. But that one guy's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And that's in both scenarios.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good question. The question, though, was do we have the WWE Network? Per se. And the way that I was reading that question was, does the network exist to be full of content that's not replays of pay-per-views?
I'm thinking more.
I still think they could have.
Does WWE ever, but they don't have the stroke at that point. Like, they're not as popular. They don't last as long without those guys. Like, WWE doesn't get to, like, they don't survive through the 80s to the point they can't buy up all the other territories without a Hulk Hogan. They can't get the TV deals and the huge exposure and have WrestleMania without Hogan. They don't get to Stone Cold without Hogan.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So yeah, it's got like what are those evolution games you can play? Like, you don't get out of the prehistoric era.
Age of Empires.
Right, sure. Age of Empires, or like any of the evolution games.
You're stuck in the Bronze Age.
Right. Yeah. Civilization. Yeah. Sure. You don't get out of the Bronze Age without a Hulk Hogan. You don't ever get to make tanks down the road if you don't get past the age that you only have bows and arrows. Yeah. If you never invent the bow and arrow, you don't get to have tanks.
Right.
So that's my answer to that question.
Good point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. And the champ is here for sure. Next up, Roberto. I know the WWE Women's Division is stacked with talent, but what do you think can be done to save Bayley's character? I feel like she's in limbo. Nobody's popping or booing. What do you guys think?
I don't even know if she's in limbo. She's very much like a heel. It's more that, and she's kind of a bitchy heel. But beyond that, yeah, she just kind of comes across as, a Karen. The kind of woman
generic heel A.
Yeah,
right?
Like, oh, my coffee's cold. Where's the manager? It's not clicking, and I actually, funny to answer this question, I think it's her performance as much as anything. That's not connecting. They're not giving her a whole lot to work with either, to be clear, but her performance isn't really clicking as this heel character she's trying to pull off. The bitter, screw the fans kind of character. It's, mopey, grumpy. It's not clicking. And I actually, more than anything else, like I said, not giving her a lot to work with, but I put it more at her feet. Like actually her as a performer. And that sucks because I love some Bayley, respect Bayley, but call a spade. And she's not charismatic in this role the way that she needs to be to pull this off.
Great point. Great segue into what I was going to say. I want to take this all the way back to the draft. The last draft that we had last fall, September something, whenever it was, right before we went on Fox. I think the biggest mistake they made was putting Charlotte and Becky on the same brand.
Left Charlotte in limbo, that's for sure. You talk about limbo.
Well, here's why. Becky or Charlotte could carry a brand by themselves. I don't think Bayley can. And I think you took the two top players and put them on the same show, and it's left the women's division on SmackDown to dwindle out. It's literally fizzled out. Who else is there? If it's not Bayley, then who? Sasha? Maybe, if she can stay around for more than 5 minutes. Lacey? Well, they had to move her from Raw. And she just got pumped.
She just lost her feud with Bayley.
Who's left? Okay, here's Naomi. All right, well, she's a two-time champ. We kind of believe in her a little bit, but she's been gone a minute. We haven't done any work with her in 6 months.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
This experiment has failed.
Well, what's sad is, and Andy Jessup's in the chat, and he said, that Bayley also wasn't able to get over as a face. My argument with that though was that the presentation they gave her as a face was the fault there. They brought her up as a strong babyface without giving her any backstory or reason to exist. The whole Bayley storyline that we had in NXT was never explained, and she was brought up as a strong babyface. Then they made her into a weak babyface where she couldn't even beat Alexa Bliss because she was too much of a wimp to use a kendo stick on her. All right? They killed her dead when they brought her up, and then they never resurrected the character. They never gave us a reason to care about face Bayley. Now she's heel Bayley. We had a good start, but then again, now nothing new is happening, and now I lay it at the feet of her performance as the heel. Her performance as a face was her bread and butter, but they didn't. That's on WWE and the creative of her face character. On her face character, there I don't blame her performance. Here I blame her performance. And as far as the rest of the women that are out there, like who can you put up against her to make her more interesting potentially? Naomi, I think, is a good call.
Yeah,
you just brought up Naomi. Like this could actually help. I think that there was moments in the Lacey feud that were good, but just flashes of moments. I wonder, given how creative is differentiating between Raw and SmackDown right now, if Bayley would be better on Raw. If, as you said, they did the wrong thing in the draft, they put the wrong woman on the wrong brand.
I think Charlotte should be on SmackDown on the Fox brand. She
it's
should
bizarre.
Be the thing.
Yeah.
And it blew my. Becky was obvious to go over to Raw. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Keep her with Seth. All of that. All those little nuances make sense. Charlotte. Man.
Yeah, because Charlotte wasn't doing anything. You talk about limbo. She wasn't doing anything for months. And maybe that was fine. It's what she wanted, go off and spend some time with Andrade. But at the same time, like now it's to the point where it's looking like she might go face Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. That's wild. Yeah. But then again, would people, especially people that are starting to get sick of Charlotte, would they have preferred she be on SmackDown and dominating over there again? That might have been redundant as well.
As opposed to Bayley? Yes.
I don't know. I feel like with the Bayley thing, that's hindsight's 2020. At the time, okay, heel Bayley, we have a chance to do something with her. But the thing is they're not giving her enough to do. So maybe it is partially creative's fault. But also she's not exactly taking the ball and running with it either as a charismatic, dominant heel champ. So yeah, they definitely need to give her some more strong moments, things to do, character dynamics, and I'm hopeful with the Naomi thing. They might be able to find something good in that. I think that's a good dynamic.
She needs a not the exact same thing, but she needs a moment like Becky had the man moment post SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Where she needs that thing that's going to make her believable that she's just a badass
But
and
look,
is not going to lose to anybody.
Look at where that came from before that, where they were building up Becky to face Charlotte. She kept winning. She was on a winning streak. All of a sudden, there was this Becky Balboa thing. Like people started getting behind her, and then Charlotte screwed her out of the title, and she turned on Charlotte. What was supposed to be a heel turn, but it was so awesome because of the work they had done building her up that the fans got behind her.
And then this
Bayley's,
chick punched her in the nose, and that was it's nuclear at that
fine,
point.
but Bayley never had that story to get her to the point. She never had any kind of build to this character. We didn't see any kind of build to the heel character, and since she's become a heel, there's no build to make her stronger either.
Because they screwed it up, and they had Sasha return and attack Natalya, and it should have been Bayley, and it would have set all of this in motion the right way. I called it all back then. Seriously, when Sasha
Why
came back,
didn't they listen to you, Nick? I thought they listened to you.
They used to. I guess they got tired of Nick booking. You know?
Every once in a while.
Enjoy SmackDown, guys.
Every once in a while. Oh, Nick booking. Every once in a while.
What do we say down here? The sun even shines on a dog's ass twice a day or something like that.
Blind pig finds a truffle every once in a while.
Right,
so,
exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Roberto. I love that question. Next up, Will. Do you know of any history or rules that say which tag team sets up by which turnbuckle? My thought is maybe they always have the faces in the top left so Hardcan can pick up their face emotions and such, but I have no knowledge or logic beyond that.
There's no hard or fast rule. There's no hard or fast rule, but there is, he's actually completely right. It depends on the story that you're telling. Usually the faces are in the back to catch the face emotions and the hot tag.
Because to get the hot tag, reaching out and all
exactly. The faces that you want to show that they're out there for the hot tag. So that is, he's 100% right. Just presentationally, storytelling-wise, they put them in the far side to get that response from you, for you to be able to read on them what they're doing, and then the heels, can work on the other side, and also that way a lot of the match happens in the lower right quadrant of the ring, theoretically, because you're trying to cut off the ring to the good guys. So a lot is going to happen nearer to the camera. And to the camera team who are on the near side of the ring, so they can catch a lot of the stuff that's happening there. So from a presentational standpoint, absolutely. There's no hard rule. There's no kayfabe rule about it either. It's just how they set it.
Go watch Roman in a tag match. He's one of the better ones at over-emoting, trying to get the hot tag so that he can come in. I mean, all the way back to the Shield stuff that he used to do.
Oh, dude, there's some people that get just wild with the hot tag stuff.
It's part of the story.
Just whatever you do, don't watch Natalya and Becky teaming up because, that's bad. Yeah. When you crawl into her, she's like, Becky's having to hold back because Natalya's right there. Oh, God.
Good inside baseball question, Will. Thank you for that one. Next up, Patrick. What kind of wrestling shows are your favorite to go to, i.e. local shows in VFWs, WWE live events, Raw, NXT, SmackDown, pay-per-views? I've been to local, Raw 1000, and Money in the Bank, and they all offer something different. Curious which you guys like best.
I'll go first. I love going to big shows in small venues. So basically, like Nick, what you just went to, where New Japan came in, you had Tanahashi with, 80 people.
Yeah.
Right. How amazing is that?
It's unbelievable. It's still fantasy. It feels unrealistic.
Yeah. No, seeing a big show in a small venue is outstanding. When we went to the Lucha Underground tapings and having all these guys literally falling on us was awesome. Going to the PWG shows where you have international stars, huge international wrestling stars and guys who are now WWE champions, and they're falling on you and sweating on you. That's the best. I'm all for the big spectacle. I love going to super big shows, whether it's Hell in a Cell, Money in the Bank, WrestleMania. The big spectacle stuff is really cool. You feel like you're part of something major. But you can't beat a local show put on by a big company or that they brought in big stars for. It's unreal. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm definitely, there's a sweet spot for both for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I too love the spectacle of going to the big show because I want to participate in the chants, but you still get to see that. And the beauty of the smaller venues like the VFWs or the American Legions, all that kind of stuff, right? The armories, like where I just went. the high school gymnasiums.
Bingo halls. Yeah.
Yeah, all that. There's an intimacy and something special about that you're not going to find anywhere else. Even the NXT live show we went to a couple years ago, 3 years ago in Riverside, drove an hour and a half out there to Riverside to go see NXT.
Yep.
Even that felt special, even though it was a larger venue, but it wasn't an arena.
No.
But it was a larger venue. Still felt special. Like you could still go up to the rail and there's Drew McIntyre coming over to take a selfie with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
And then to have it happen again Monday this week with Tanahashi and Juice Robinson from Japan.
Yeah.
Champions. Legends. You know, just the intimacy of the small venue is what is the appeal of it there. You're never going to get to do that unless you drop $250 for
I was going to say, exactly.
At a big venue.
The price tag is also quite nice, too, when you can spend, $50, $80 and the guys are sweating on you because you're so close to the ring. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Like I said, I thought I was going to be able to go up to take over Portland. And frankly, if you're in Portland or nearby, they're selling tickets, decent tickets for like $80 to that still. Like you want to be like up close to like 300, but like there's decent tickets still available for like $80 to that thing. My problem was just transportation.
Yeah.
Getting there. But I looking at the card they're setting up for that, I can imagine seeing that show. It's in the Rose Bowl. It's like a 10,000 plus venue. So
in the Rose Bowl,
I believe so, isn't it? Oh,
no,
the Rose Stadium. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They have
100,000 people.
No,
not the Rose Bowl.
Not the Rose Bowl. Excuse me. Whatever it's called. It's Rose Garden. God damn it, Rose Garden.
I was gonna say I don't know if a takeover event could draw 100,000 people. Edge might though.
On this day, I see clearly. Oh God, you got me again.
Listen. There's a lot of events that I regretfully have passed on, and I look back on it going, God damn it, why didn't I go to that? Gee, for some reason I was just lazy, or I didn't want to spend the money, and I look back on it and just mad at myself. So I'm at a point now where I'm just like, I want to go to every single thing I can. We're tossing around options right now for what we're going to do for Tampa. Are we going to drive down? It's 10 hours. It's a fun road trip. Are we going to be there? Are we actually going to go to the show? Are we going to do like a watch party in the hotel? All those options right now are kind of being weighed up. So more on that soon, I promise. But the idea that it's right here, pretty much kind of in my backyard in the Southeast is compelling enough for me to like, oh my God, this might not happen again for a long time. I need to make sure I go to this one if I can.
Yeah.
I've never been to a WrestleMania. I need to check that box at least.
You should do it. It's right down the road from you. You should do it. You should. They're awesome.
Great question, Patrick. Thank you very much. I'm curious to know what you guys think about what your favorite kind of venue is as well. Next up, Abraham. He says, I love beans.
Beans, the magical fruit. The more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. Let's have beans for every meal. I'm with him.
Well said. Thank you, Abraham. It's great comment there. Next up, he had a question.
He's got to go with his question.
Also, name one I guess he means New Japan superstar you would like to see in WWE and one in AEW.
Okay.
Why would you place them in that promotion, character wrestling style, couples cheating scandal storyline?
Yes, Yujiro Takahashi and Peter in a couples cheating storyline. That'd be great.
Right. Unfortunately, Peter did not make it to the New Beginning show Monday night.
That's probably fortunate, actually. Probably for the best.
Yeah, that probably would not have gone down well in the Bible Belt here.
No, you can't bring Peter in front of all those kids.
Yeah,
that's not going to work. One New Japan star in WWE. I've said it before. I'd love to see Shingo Takagi in WWE because he's got an awesome, cool look that I think would resonate with the American crowd. And the dude's a utter stone cold badass who could come in and whoop ass. And, he's not as tall as a lot of the other guys, but he's big enough that he looks intimidating. And the presence, everything else. I think he'd translate really well. I know he's got no intention of ever going there. But I've said Shingo would be awesome in WWE. I don't think that they would handle him well, but he'd be great. Also, I would love to see I know they've rumored Sonata to WWE before, and that's one I wouldn't mind either. I think they would actually do right by Sonata. Just because he's built the way he's built. I think that he could get over pretty easily. So, big, tall guy. He can wrestle any style. You know. How about you? What New Japan guy would you want to have in WWE?
It would murder him, and it's mostly out of just utter curiosity. I'd love to see we've seen what's happened with Shinsuke and with Asuka.
Exactly.
I'd be curious to see what Okada would be like.
Jesus, it'd be TNA all over again, man.
Yeah.
Remember what they did with him in TNA? Oh,
it would just be out of utter curiosity. Could we do better with him than Shinsuke? He speaks better English than Shinsuke.
He does, but I don't know if he would translate at all, and I don't mean that literally in terms of his speech. I mean in terms of his presentation. Yeah. Like, I don't know if he would translate to WWE. I would say not. I don't think it would.
My AEW one is a lot easier, and it's Lance Archer.
Well, that might happen. He's in high level talks. Like he's It's probably going to happen.
I hope it does.
It's probably going to happen.
I'll loosely throw Will out there too.
Yeah.
He and B. I think he and B. Priestley still a thing?
Yeah, absolutely. No, him Ospreay and AEW. Apparently, Jericho talked really seriously with Ospreay about bringing him to AEW, and Ospreay essentially said, "I'm not done in New Japan yet. Like I just moved to Japan.
Good for him.
There's more I have to do here. They're giving me a lot of rope to work with. I'm making strides forward over there. Like now is not the time to go to AEW." But he did not say it would never happen. And if AEW is still around in 5 years, Ospreay to AEW absolutely could happen down the road. And I think that would be a great place for him.
Yeah.
Because he can basically write his own character, which he's obviously very good at, and then have incredible matches with some of the best people in the Western world. So, yeah, Ospreay to AEW was my pick as well.
Everything I've read about Will, though, it just says he's so, like, madly, utterly in love with Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, put wrestling aside, it's Japan versus the USA.
I don't blame him.
He's so madly in love with Japan
that
he doesn't want to do anything outside of New Japan, and he's now committed. Much like Kota Ibushi, they've both committed to just being the next New Japan stars, and I think that's fantastic. Lance Archer, though, I think we've seen Jake Hager come in. People!
Careful, JR.
Right. We've seen Jake Hager come in. We've seen Wardlow come in, but they're mostly just goons, and we know why. But I think the AEW men's division needs a friggin' monster, an absolute unstoppable dragon to slay. And I think Lance Archer would come in and be that. And he could be, without the singing and dancing, the heel version of the Braun Strowman in WWE. Like, I feel like Lance Archer would immediately get over with that crowd.
I think you may get your wish. So keep your fingers crossed, buddy.
Squander it. He's amazing. I saw him live on Monday, and it's a next level kind of appreciation for just how big that son of a bitch is.
He's a big boy.
That's a big boy.
That's a big boy. Yeah.
I mean, like he could stand nose to nose with Braun Strowman, to put it in perspective. They're both 6'8".
I think he's taller, isn't he?
He might be billed as 6'10". I'm not 100% sure, but he really is that tall.
Yeah.
Like I could see his pecs as he walked the rail over people's heads. He's massive.
And we all know
anyway,
Nick likes his big men.
I like them big boys.
Like them big men.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Abraham. Next up, Esmeralda.
Yes.
Hello, Podfathers. I'm taking it back, Conrad.
Oh, yeah.
Dumb baby faces are common in WWE. Black hat versus white hat, with the white hat often being duped.
Mm-hmm.
Have we outgrown this archaic style? Are viewers too dumb to grasp grittier storylines?
No,
they're not. Are morally ambiguous or anti-hero characters a horse that creative is just unwilling to bet on? I just find it hard at times to root for someone that can be so vanilla. I don't have anything to say, but I agree with you.
Have we outgrown this style? Yes. I don't know if we ever really liked this style, because having a dumb babyface is dumb. Are viewers too dumb to grasp grittier storylines? No. Absolutely not. They've actually, in fact, they mostly usually gravitate towards it. Grittier storylines, as we've seen throughout history. And are morally ambiguous or anti-hero characters a horror creative is just unwilling to bet on? No, but Vince does like his top guys to be unambiguously a good guy. But he often has mid-tier guys be more morally ambiguous, more kind of an anti-hero. What they're doing with Joe and Kevin right now, where they're not really good guys, they're still kind of edgy. They haven't really lost their edge.
In this day,
oh God,
I see clearly.
I triggered him.
Sorry.
But
it's like a reset there. I just couldn't control that.
Sorry, I know. Manchurian Candidate. I get it. But they're still doing it, letting some guys be a little bit grittier. NXT for sure. They're all over that.
NXT's like the template of that.
With Ciampa getting particularly edgy this week, Gargano even getting kind of dark, and he's like the baby-facediest of baby faces.
Right.
So no, I think in general, they're not afraid of making baby faces edgy or kind of anti-hero-ish, but definitely like main roster top guys. Vince is going for the kids, and he's going for the parents of the kids who don't want to have to ask. They don't want their kids asking questions. Why did so and so do this thing? Becky's kind of edgy. She's kind of anti-hero-ish, isn't she?
Yeah, a little bit.
You know. Yeah.
Especially last fall when she was bringing the whole man gimmick up. Now I'm starting to get a little bored of what's going on recently because they haven't really.
Oh, that's short attention span Howell over here.
The 3 to 6 months of SummerSlam and beyond of last year was just, oh my God.
Yeah.
Nuclear. So yeah, I don't know. I want bigger storylines. We talk about this with the Hangman Page stuff on AEW. We have no idea where that's going, and I love that for it.
Yeah. But here's I like the ambiguity there, but I guess kind of getting back to my point about baby faces and why they're presented as being kind of, dumb white hat guys, is that's how Vince knows to present them. Because again, maybe he's underestimating kids, because I think kids like grittier storylines. I know I did when I was a kid. Yeah. I was gravitating towards the Macho Mans and the Jake the Snakes and the Roddy Pipers. I didn't really care about Hogan or Warrior. And those were kind of the more interesting, edgier guys. So I think that kids are sophisticated. Whether or not Vince believes they are, who knows? But I know he's definitely with as far as the parents are concerned, they don't want to. I mean, there are some parents who are like, that's right, kid. Look, here's a Fiend segment. Their kid's like, I'm scared of the Fiend. The parents are like, no, you're going to watch Become a Man. Yeah. No, I don't want to. He's scary.
You didn't eat your vegetables tonight. You're going to watch the Fiend.
The Fiend's going to get you.
Right.
But there's a lot
Fiend
of
on a shelf.
Right. But there's parents out there that don't want to have their kid ask them, like, why did so-and-so do that bad thing? Well, he's not always a good guy. You know what I mean? No, they make it easy. Just make it straightforward. John Cena is always meat and potatoes. Never give up.
Do your homework,
salute
eat your
the flag.
vitamins.
Yeah, right. Hulk Hogan, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, right? Yep. Like that's the kind of good guy that Vince wants on the Saturday morning cartoons and running the top of his shows. But I think that sometimes that bleeds down to the rest of WWE, and it's sad when it does. And honestly, that's led to some of the stuff that we all get driven away by. But in general, no, I don't think that's a trope in general. And thank God, I think everyone gravitates more towards the grittier stuff. So, yeah, by and large.
Great question. Or was that even a question? Oh, she asked, Nick, can you braid your beard one day? Asking for science, not because I just want to see what it looks like.
Oh God.
No.
Matt, remember when Sheamus did that? When Sheamus braided his beard, and for like weeks, he'd come out, people would go, "You look
stupid."
All right, so now you have to. Okay, Esme, I'm just letting you know. There's going to be at some point where it's going to be on the line. There's going to be a bet, and Nick's going to have to braid his beard if he loses the bet. Just saying. Now we know. Now we have something.
I tell you what. I'll go ahead and throw that down.
Oh yeah? What are you throwing it down for?
I've been saying for a year. When we get to, and it hasn't motivated anyone.
No. It can't be like when we get to a certain point. It's be you lose a bet on something. You lose a bet, not like a celebration. This is like you are punished by having to have a braided beard.
We'll save it.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm already I'm already contemplating. I think I know where I'm going to use it on. So stay tuned. Stay tuned.
I was going to say that whole Nia Jax ringtone thing hasn't.
That's still happening.
Well, it hasn't motivated people to get us to 50 patrons yet. So if throwing in a little beard braiding would get us to 50, I'd be willing. Just saying.
We'll see. Everyone,
not
let us
saying,
know
just saying.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Esme. Next up, Marshall asks, evening, fellas, with Ring of Honor throwing the kitchen sink at Marty Scurll to keep him around, what is their goal and end game? Ever since the deal, he got paid. Ever since the deal, Ring of Honor has been on the up and up, and just want to know if y'all feel like there's more that they can achieve that we didn't think was possible. I think a lot of the last year or two was highlighted, and it hit the kind of a crescendo with Joey Mercury and Kelly Klein, and all of the stuff that happened over the last few months. I think we're past that, and I think with Marty coming in and sort of not taking over, but taking over, we might be seeing a new era of Ring of Honor start, and we're all excited about that. Because let's remember, guys, all the guys that you like in WWE right now, they all kind of came from Ring of Honor.
Well, okay, and I think you're throwing out the skeptically optimistic thing here, and I think that might be appropriate here. We're like, it's looking like Ring of Honor is now back on the upswing. What's possible with them? We never thought it'd be possible for them to run a co-headlining show with New Japan in Madison Square Garden. Now, the problem was, for their end, they shat the bed on that one. They need a redemption. Could they do it again? Yes. Could they redeem themselves? We didn't think it was possible. We were saying, like, they might be sold by this time, Nick. So there's a lot. Anything that Ring of Honor does at this point, we thought might not be possible.
Icing on the cake.
Right. So, could they mend fences with New Japan, maybe mend fences with AEW, put on a super show, stuff that we didn't think was possible? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I as you said, I think they might be through the darkest time. And I think that basically giving Marty the reins in a lot of ways, or making him a big deal and kind of giving him the run of the ship, was a brilliant idea. Given his connections, given his ability to mend fences, given his ability to good creative ideas. So I'm buying Ring of Honor right now. I'm not selling anymore.
Yeah.
I'm buying.
Very bullish on it. And the idea here for me is that it's something that I let go of a long time ago, and I came back to WWE, but I never really made it back to Ring of Honor.
Right.
And then I remember Kelly won the women's championship a couple years ago, I think it was, and she was one of the up and comers I was really excited about. And then I started looking at it again, and it was like, okay, I'm back at a point now where I kind of want to go check it out and like see what's up. Let's see what's happening in Ring of Honor, and maybe give it a few months of actually watching the weekly programming to see what's going on. So
they've got Lord knows they've got the talent, and again, I'm skeptically optimistic. It's early days still, but it feels like just kind of a change in the wind, a change in the direction of the wind. It feels like things could be on the up for them, and that they could achieve things that we didn't think were possible, to answer the question. Yeah.
True. Thank you very much, Marshall. Really good question there. And if you have some tips and things to watch that'll catch me up, please shoot those into the group. Would absolutely love that. Next up, Billy. Fellas, 3 things. 3? 1, awesome watching the Rumble with the Discord. Everyone was just a fan having fun, and I had a blast.
Dude, it was so much fun.
If that's not the best promotion for joining the Discord, thank you very much. It was an absolute blast. Thank you guys for showing up and being an absolute awesome part of that. And the good news is it happens all throughout the week for all the regular shows too.
Yeah.
AEW, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, all of them. We've even got channels in there for Impact, Ring of Honor, and NWA Power.
No, the Rumble was a really fun one. I have to agree with him. That was a really good one. Yeah, everyone was having fun, especially when who came out.
Oh, exactly. Number 2, what is the sexiest, air quotes, sexiest move you always love seeing? For me, it's Deep Six. It's just so smooth.
I see what he's saying. I was gonna say Joey Ryan dick flip, but then I realized what he was really referring to. Got it.
Sexiest move I always love seeing. So for me, the Deep Six isn't really. I mean, it's like a Blue Thunder Bomb. It's kind of the same thing.
It ends differently. It's not a bomb, but yes. I know what you're
Kinda
saying.
is. Yeah, I know
Spinning sidewalk slam. But yeah, no, I know what he's saying. I know what he's saying. Like Corbin does that move beautifully. Sonata's Paradise Lock. No, I'm kidding.
Ricochet's 630. He very rarely, if ever, like
Ricochet's a lot of stuff. Let's be clear.
It's once in a blue moon that he misses the target a little bit, but every time he does that 630, he seems to hit it right on the back of his neck, top of his shoulders, and rolls right up out of it. And we watched him do it 100,027 times in Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
And
I'm playing with the Black Arrow, Pac's Black Arrow.
Oh, that one's good too. So yeah, it's probably the 630 for me.
The Randy Orton or Dustin Rhodes' Power Slam. Every time I'm just like, oh, that's good. Like that's a good Power Slam.
Esme said, I gotta agree with her. Destino! It's so smooth when Naito hits that just right, and it's one fluid motion over into that side slam that he does.
It's no Stardust press, but yeah, I guess it's fine.
Fair enough. Any more you want to call out?
I'm trying to think. Angel Garza's Asai moonsault. I love. I was gonna say Andrade's back elbow, but he's got like 8 other moves that are gorgeous too. Actually, so with Andrade, it's not a move, it's a sell. The way that he goes over the top rope, comes down on the apron on his shoulders and hits the floor. When he's selling a big move. If you've never seen him do it, it looks like he's dying. It looks like he's dead. But it is just so goddamn smooth the way he does this sell. That every time I see it, I you're talking about sexy moves. I see it, I go, what a beautiful sell.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. Hijo de Fantasma's suicide dive. Every time I see that, I always get a thrill.
Yeah.
We
gotta go. You don't have to name all of them.
I'm gonna sit here and just run down everyone's most beautiful moves.
Billy's still got another question for us.
Oh, sorry. Go for it.
He says, number 3, good luck against going in Raw. Let's get that going viral and have our match. Good day, and thanks for all you do, my friends.
Oh, thanks,
I agree.
Man. Thank
you guys for supporting and all the likes and retweets and all that good stuff. Please keep doing that. The more attention that gets, the more it's going to egg them on to participate. And I would definitely love to defend my title against going in Raw from 2 years ago.
Oh, my God. Never letting us live that one down.
It will be played. And I will do some fun remixes of stuff. I'll put some Sarah McLachlan music to something that Steve posts or something like that. I'll really start poking the bear if this starts getting some attention. So thank you guys for all your support there. Oh, yeah. Next up, Andy. Hey, all. I was wondering if you could pull the curtain on kayfabe a little and explain how a Royal Rumble is booked. How do you remember who to eliminate and when, or does it happen as the match goes on?
So this is actually something that I've heard broken down in a few different interviews, and it's depending on the Rumble, but if we're talking specifically WWE Royal Rumble, it changes from year to year. I know this year, let me try to remember who worked on what, because the two halves were worked on by different teams. The first half was worked on by Paul and Brock, along with Jamie Noble and Lance Storm, and I'm trying to remember who the other producer was on the first half. And then the second half, and the finish was all Vince McMahon. But basically, it was all hands on deck putting this thing together, and the talent had some say as well. Basically, you're told as much as you need to know. And most people who are in it don't know what they're doing until the day of, because they're still figuring it out the day of. Sometimes even in the match itself. But this year, I believe they had most of it structured.
The ref will relay it in the match.
During the match, right. Hey, you're out now. And actually, a lot of times the refs will relay it just so you remember who's happening what. So basically, you're told you're coming out at this time. You're then going to stay in for this many entrants. You're out at this point. And the refs will remind you, hey, you got to do your big spot and get out. You're going to know general structure of what you're going to do when you're in there, unless you're a bigger star and you can kind of improv more. And as far as once you're in there, it's basically figure out what kind of big spots you want to do. Cody gave a really funny interview this week where he was talking about when he was in the Royal Rumble with the Undertaker, and how
awesome.
Yeah, and how he was told, okay, you're going to go in and get your shit in for this amount of time, and then someone else is going to come out, and at this point you're going to be eliminated. So he goes in there and does a couple things, realizes that the camera's still on him. Okay, I've got to do something. And he sees Undertaker over in the corner beating up somebody. He's like, man, screw it. I'm going to make my name. I'm going to go and have a moment with the big guy. So he goes over there and punches Undertaker in the back of the head as hard as he can. Stiffs the hell out of
clubbing blow on the back.
Just stiffs the hell out of the Taker. And Taker, I guess, just kind of turns around and he's like, ah, crap, I've done it now. But then Taker goes and sells for him. He's like, all right, kid, let's go.
Drop kick me.
Essentially says, yeah, okay, drop kick me. Cody's like, what? Yeah, drop kick me. He drop kicks him. All right, and it continues. And Undertaker goes and sells for him. He realizes the entire time I got to keep doing stuff with Taker because the camera's still on me, so they're picking me up. But it can be improv to that level when you're in there, so it's kind of wild. I feel like this year was very structured because of how they set up the first half with Braun, and you could feel it get a little bit looser in the second half, more like a traditional Rumble where like that you get in there and you kind of you do your stuff here and there, and guys are improvising what they're doing. But then at a certain point, you've got it laid out for you by the producers. Okay, Vince had the finishing sequence completely laid out. Vince wrote the finishing sequence. The way that it went down with Drew and Roman, they knew exactly what they were going to do. So there's certain things that are structured, that are set up. There's certain things that are wide open, and there's people that are coming in that basically they just know they're coming in at this number. Okay, you go out there, and when the ref tells you, you're out, and that's it.
Yep.
So it's pretty wild, actually.
There was also a little bit of scuttlebutt going around. I don't know if it's confirmed or not that Aleister Black was also in contention to win instead of Drew.
Right.
I've heard that from several reliable enough places that I believe that was the case. It's probably just a matter of Drew's the chosen one. Obviously Drew.
And that's also why they had Aleister coming in relatively so late. It was going to be a matter of if they wanted to keep Drew. I think it was something that at the end of the day they were like, look, Drew, he's further along. We'd have to work more on Aleister to get him to that point. And I think they're right. They're absolutely right. They've done F all with Aleister since they're bringing him up. They got to do some work on him to get him anywhere close to that level. But the fact that they were even considering him is kind of cool.
Yeah, it lets you know. It lets you know what they think of it. Much like I remember remarking kind of the same way when Andrade went as high in the draft as he did. I'm like, oh, somebody's got their eyes on Andrade, and then they dropped his name and all that stuff, right? I reacted kind of the same way when I heard that about Aleister. I was like, oh, okay, they got plans for that boy then. All right.
I hope. We'll see what
How
they
about
do
you
with this
fix his entrance first?
How about you just do it right? The entrance, don't have to fix anything. Just don't stop screwing it up. Oh, God.
Please make it stop.
Oh, it's so bad.
Thank you very much, Andy. And next up, Jacob. Hello, Mr. Howell and Mr. Shop Zone.
You bastard.
What is Mr. Shop Zone?
Oh, he listened to the one episode where I explained how Steve from Going in Raw used to make fun of me back in the day.
Oh, okay. In honor of the Super Bowl tomorrow, you are creating a football team using wrestlers past and present, any promotion. Who are you picking? One quarterback, one running back, two receivers, one tight end, one defensive lineman, one line. We're making a football team.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
I'm making a football team out of wrestlers past and present? All right. Quarterback.
We're running a little long here, so we got to do this quickly.
Brian Pillman for quarterback.
Oh, good one. Good Lord.
Got, let's see, tight end, Roman Reigns.
Okay. See, I'd have defensive lineman Roman Reigns. Defensive end, like rushing.
Okay, defensive end maybe. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad either.
He said D lineman.
D lineman. D lineman probably. John Tenta.
Defensive lineman. Let's go. Otis Dozovich. He'd be a better offensive lineman, but
he'd be a better old lineman. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
need a pretty boy. I need a pretty boy quarterback. Who's the pretty boy? Tyler Breeze.
Oh Jesus, that's pretty boy.
Yeah.
He's what? He's like 5'10".
So isn't Russell Wilson. You know, Kyler Murray's 5'9".
He's not scrambling like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's a freak.
No, he is. Nobody's watching Arizona. That's the problem.
Let's see. Running back. Crash Holly. No, I don't know.
Wow.
Apollo Crews would be a really good running back with his size. I don't know how good he is at cutting corners, but wide receivers. Oh God.
Montez Ford.
Street Profits, Montez Ford. Yes. Yeah. You have to have him as a wide receiver. Good God, the hops on that guy. Hops and speed.
Yeah.
Absolutely wide receiver with him. Holy and on the other side, Isaiah Cassidy. Like just have the two clones, like just one on each side. That'd be monstrous.
No, you know who would be my quarterback? Okada.
Does he even know how to throw a football? I'm like picking dudes I know played football.
We're assuming they all know how to throw a football. Let's like not get
tight
too deep
tight end. I was gonna say Baron Corbin or something. Although his knee, I don't know about his knees, but like something like that.
He did play defensive end. He's a good
what position did Brock play again? Brock was he was on defense, wasn't he?
I feel like he was either a linebacker or a defensive end.
I think he was linebacker. Yeah.
Here's a fun fact.
That sounds right.
Did you know that that Goldberg was the first guy cut from the Carolina Panthers?
Really?
In 1990.
After the expansion?
4 or 5? Yeah, in 95.
No kidding.
Yep.
Worked out well for him and the
Fun
Panthers.
fact.
So worked out real well.
Okay, linebacker. All right, I'll use Roman there. I think Roman would be a good linebacker.
I could see that. Yeah.
He's gonna come get you.
Oh, was it
my running back?
Not Tuisasopo. What was his name?
Ishii is my running back.
He's like 5'6".
He's just gonna plow right through him and just nothing.
He's got janky legs. Oh, I can't see him being a running back.
All right.
I can't see it.
That's fun, Jacob. We love those. You always tend to ask those kind of questions. Those are fun. And thank you for calling out Mr.
The only problem with his questions, I always like wake up in the night later and be like, "Oh God, why didn't he should have been there?"
Yeah,
I remember it later. Oh my God. And it's the worst feeling.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I've got one on the tip of my tongue right now. That's killing me. Like Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh, that's not bad.
As a lineman. So
big boss man.
Big boss man. Oh, I'm sure he played football. He played football.
Oh God, that's a big boy.
He played football back in the day. Come on.
All right, thank you very much, Jacob. Next up, Brandon. Last but certainly not least. Hey guys, my question is: what are 3 men and 3 women cross promotion dream matches you would have liked to have seen using legends and modern day superstars? 2 matches I would like to see: The Fiend versus the Great Muta, Lita versus Rhea Ripley.
Ooh.
That's a clash of styles right there.
But Fiend, Great Muta. I mean, would the Fiend sell for Muta?
Fiend Boogeyman?
Oh, no, that's awful. No, come on, man. That's
clash of gimmicks.
Jesus. Something.
It's all supernatural, kids. Boo.
Oogly boogly. All right, women. What? How many we're supposed to pick? 3 cross promotion matches each?
3 men and 3 women.
Okay. Right off the top of my head, Manami Toyota versus Asuka, or Toyota versus Charlotte. Either way, like the greatest women's wrestler of all time, in my opinion, versus 2 of the greatest current women wrestlers. Yeah, I've got to automatically go with that.
That's fantastic.
And I'll go China versus Jordan Grace. In terms of just powerhouse women match, that would be awesome. And then I've got to put Bull Nakano in something. Versus, I don't know, Tessa Blanchard or Wendy Richter. Ugh, man, that's tough. I don't know. What do you have? That's my women. Let me try and think of my guys.
I'm trying to think of the big powerhouse unbeatable ones. I'm thinking of a Bruno Sammartino versus Brock Lesnar.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Back. Swish.
Oh. You got me thinking.
I'm thinking of a Harley Race versus
John Moxley.
No, I'm thinking of somebody more technical. I'm thinking of like a Pete Dunne, a Harley Race versus a Pete Dunne or something like that.
Oh, that's tasty. Yeah.
Kind of a technical masterpiece, catch as catch can masterpiece, kind of.
Well, also just two guys who like working stiff and brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women. I love your China Jordan Grace one. I think that's awesome.
That would be badass.
I'm thinking. I mean, we got to see Trish Charlotte.
Yeah, sort of.
That would have been one of them had that not already happened.
Yeah.
I would love to see. I think your example of Toyota Asuka, just wow.
I mean, Toyota versus anyone good. You know what I mean? It's kind of like It's
unfortunately,
like
pre-China, in WWF, WWE, women were used mostly as props. Unfortunately.
Well, you could go back to the 80s. You go back to the 80s where you have Mae Young versus Wendy Richter.
Yeah, I mean, you had the glow stuff happening too in the early 80s.
Yeah. And it kind of fell off.
Yeah.
Oh God, Esme in the chat. Jimmy Snuka versus Pac versus Ospreay. Snuka would just run circles around poor Snuka.
They would.
I mean, that's not what
go find the video of Ospreay and Ricochet from I think it was New Japan Super Juniors.
Best of Super Juniors. Yeah, that's the one that put them on the map.
They're just running ropes for like 30 minutes. It's absurd.
Oh, they're flying all over the place. That was the whole thing. Was that pissed off a lot of people because they weren't really.
That's where hashtag flippy shit kind of came from.
Yeah, exactly. Just the idea that you could do a match and it was all acrobatics.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, got me thought. What other guys matches? I'm
trying to think of I'm thinking of superlatives like the best of that generation versus the best of this generation.
Yeah.
Could we see Hulk Hogan at his best in the late 80s versus John Cena in like 2010?
You're talking like prime era stuff.
Yeah.
Prime versus prime. It's kind of like what's the famous thing? Well, hey, who would win in their prime? Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali? Right? Like, could they have fought?
Mike Tyson.
No, Ali was pretty much out by that point. But in their primes would have been the question.
Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens in a stunner off.
Oh God!
In a stunners only match.
Me.
Who was Ken Shamrock versus Kenny Omega?
Dude. Oh well, or Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock versus like Brock Lesnar would be really interesting too. Like because Ken Shamrock's like one of the godfathers of MMA in some senses, so that would be an interesting matchup. I was going to say if we're talking about primes, Okada now versus Flair 82.
Damn.
Like the promos alone, the setup, the pageantry would be intense. Intense.
Damn. That's good. That's really good. Esme wants us to do some good by the little guys. Little guys doing little guy things. Marco Stunt versus Nicholas in a WLC match.
Jungle Boy versus Spike Dudley.
Listen, don't the WLC match.
Masquerade Sagrada versus El Cerrito.
Right. Oh God, that dream match.
Oh my goodness. I know there's another one. I'm gonna think back later and be like, oh God damn it. AOP versus Legion of Doom.
I would love to see height of American Alpha Chad Gable versus
height of Kurt Angle. Oh man!
In a singlet match, just like Olympian wrestlers, right?
Yeah, like a pseudo shoot match.
He can wear his funny hat with his hair if he wants to, his little earmuffs, his wrestling cap.
His earmuffs. Oh my God, you're fired.
His cauliflower ear guards.
Yeah. No, good question, Brandon. That's we could just be sitting here for hours on this one.
Yeah.
There's so many. You open it all up like that, and there's just so many you can run down and be like, oh, it'd be great to see this one. So there's a few to whet your appetite.
Absolutely.
Think about. Dream about.
Post some more. If you guys think about more, post them up in the Busted Wide Open discussion group because those are the ones I love to riff on those, and you'll just have the comments come in.
Let's get a thread going. And you guys are all like, if we're coming off the top of our heads right now. I love hearing it comes off the tops of other people's heads too. Like just all the crazy possibilities you could throw together.
Heavy Machinery versus the Bushwhackers. What?
That sounds absolutely god awful.
That sounds amazing. Are you kidding me?
Cowboy.
And at the end of the match, to show sportsmanship, they all walk across around the ring.
Stop. Cowboy Bob Orton and Randy Orton versus Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes.
Okay, we could sit here and do this all day. We got to get out of here because I can smell dinner cooking, and we're way over time. But thank you guys so much for all of your amazing questions. I think we had 17 of them today.
Nice.
Thank you
Love
guys.
Hey,
Patrons showing up for the mailbag. Guys, if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, head over to BWO Podcast. You'll find all the links for all of our social media there or on YouTube right here in the description below. Make sure you're in the Facebook group and in our Discord, and follow us everywhere else you can find us. And subscribe to the podcast here on your podcast app of choice, and well as subscribing on YouTube. All of those things really help improve our exposure and our visibility to the greater wrestling community, and we love you guys for it. Massive shout out to everybody that is a patron, and thank you guys for continuing month after month to get all of these questions in every single week. Give us some of your hard-earned dollars every month to help us continue to keep this show going. We love you guys for it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.